All right, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I want to do is look at the good mistakes I saw on our homework from Friday. The first thing was in a problem like this, we're dealing with, remember this means absolute value, and absolute value, remember, is the distance from 0 on a number line, the number of steps, we're counting steps from 0. So this number always has to be positive. All right, so be careful. I saw a number of mistakes there. This kind of problem here, remember, we're looking at the negatives and what that means. The negative in front, remember, is the opposite of -6. The opposite of -6 is going to be a +6. This is like a double negative here, and a double negative means that you're going to have a positive. Same thing here. The opposite of -24. The double negative means we're going to have a positive. Okay, so those are some things to make sure we've got cleared up. All right, now let's take a look at a couple problems that deal with integers. The first thing I want to point out is that when we do the problems on these for these examples, they are very simple. I know you know the answers before we begin. The point at this time is not, do you know the answer? The point is, can we visualize what is happening when we add and subtract integers? Because if we can visualize it and model it, then we're going to really be able to understand what's going on. So please bear with me as far as the examples being simple. I know that. All right, so the two tiles that we're using here, the yellow tiles are going to be +1 and the red tiles are going to be -1. In this example, Tom was paid $5 for emptying the dishwasher. All right, now $5, of course, is a positive number, so we're going to have to model that with the yellow tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he owes his brother $5. Now, if you owe someone money, that is debt, and that is a negative number. So we're going to have -5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now they should be the exact same size. These look smaller, but just ignore that part. All right, so each of these negative tiles cancels out one of the positive because I have to pay each dollar, I have to pay back. So in the end, each of these is going to cancel out one of the positives. These are called zero pairs. We know 1 and -1 are opposites. 5 and -5 are opposites. So to show that we're canceling them out, we're going to cross them out. So that one pair is gone. That's 0. This one is 0. This one is 0, etc. Until you'll notice we have nothing left. So what we notice here is that whenever we add a number and its opposite, we're going to have 0. They cancel each other out. So now what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go to back to your assignment and pull up the page of notes that I have there, and you can do it side by side, split screen, but we're going to write some things down on that notes page as we go through these examples. So go ahead and pull that up. All right, so on this notes page, we are going to be looking at zero pairs. Zero pairs, that's what we were just doing here. And you'll notice that when we had zero pairs, a number, the example, let's write that first. -5 plus 5 is going to equal 0. And the number plus a number plus its opposite is always 0. Okay, it's going to be important. All right, our first example, 4 plus 2. We know the answer is 6, but we're going to model this. So 4 and 2 are both positive integers. They have like signs. So we're going to be using the same color here, both yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, plus 1, 2. So these are all the same color. So when we find the answer, we're just adding them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 tiles. So the answer is +6. So let's take a look at another example. So for this example, we're adding -3 plus -4. So this time, they have the like signs again, but this time they're both negative. So when we model this, we're going to be using the red tiles 1, 2, 3 negatives, and 1, 2, 3, 4 negatives. They're all alike. They're all the same color. So we're just going to add them together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. -3 plus -4 is -7. All right, so when we have the sign is the same, when we have like signs, we're really just adding the numbers together. All right, so take your notes page again, and let's pull that up, and let's write down what we've just learned. All right, so now we're looking at adding like signs. So when we add like signs, nothing cancels out. We don't have any zero pairs. They're all the same color. So when we have -3 plus -4 equals -7 is the example. Please write that down. And when we're adding like signs, what we did was we just add the numbers together, and it will keep the same sign. So we give the like sign. All right. Okay. The next example, 6 plus -2. How is this example different than the past two examples? Right, it's different because 6 and -2 have unlike signs. They're not the same sign. We call that unlike signs. So what happens when we model 6 plus -2? This might be in real life a situation. Let's say that I was paid $6, but I owe someone $2. Remember, negative numbers are owing money or debt. So let's take a look at what this is going to be. I have 6 positives, and that's going to be the yellow, and I have 2 negatives. So this time, once again, we have 0 pairs. And remember, 0 pairs cancel each other out. So this one is going to be canceled out, and this one's going to be canceled out. And so what I have then is 1, 2, 3, 4 left. So what we really did with the two numbers, 6 and -2, what we really did was we subtracted 6 and 2 to get 4. And then we noticed that we had more positives than negatives. Remember, when we're looking at which number is actually larger without its sign, we're talking about the absolute value. So you could say that we subtracted the two numbers because of these zeros pairs, and the answer is going to have the sign of whichever one had more, whichever had the larger absolute value. Okay, so +4. All right, let's take a look at another one that is like this. So again, in this example, we have -5 plus 4, which have unlike signs. One is positive, one is negative. Now this time you'll notice that we have more negatives than we have positives. So let's think about that in the beginning. How do you think that that's going to change the answer? Because I have more negatives than positives, what's the sign of my answer going to be? Well, let's take a look. So let's model this. We have 5 negatives, 1, 2, red this time, 3, 4, 5 negatives, and I have 4 positives, 1, 2, 3, 4. Aha, once again, we have some 0 pairs here. So these are going to cancel out. We'll use this to cancel, that's 0. These are going to cancel out. Okay, 4 of them cancel out. And we just have 1 left, and it is negative. So maybe that's what you thought. Because I have more negatives to begin with, my answer is going to be negative. The larger absolute value is the absolute value of -5. We have more of those. So notice once again that we had to subtract the two numbers. 5 minus 4 is 1. And the answer is going to have the sign of whichever had the larger absolute value. The answer is -1. All right, let's take our notes page again and let's write down what we just learned. All right, so this time we added unlike signs. So to add unlike signs, we'll write down our example. -5 plus 4 was -1. And what we did here, now this is where you have to be careful, because even though there's an addition sign, we actually, think of the tiles, we actually subtracted the numbers because we had some 0 pairs that canceled out. And we give the sign, The answer is going to have the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. So you're always going to look at whether they have like signs or unlike signs. Then you're going to ask yourself whether you add or subtract. And then you're going to decide what the sign of the answer is going to be. All right, so what you're going to do now is you are going to use this notes page. We're going to save it. And you're going to do some slides yourself. Remember that when you do your slides, you have to make sure that you are not in present mode, or the tiles will not slide. Also remember, you might have to use the undo button. I hope it's not frustrating. There were a few times with my slides that it was hard to get the tiles to slide, but modeling this is very important for our understanding this deeply. So go ahead and go to back to your assignment. You're going to open your Google Slide presentation. Make sure it's not present mode, and you're going to model some of these problems. Please remember the rules that we just saw.